So today we're making bean chili, and I promise you'll be happy by the time we're done. So
I'm ready.
We're starting with a pound of dried beans. We're using pinto and cannellini beans. You can use one type or a combination. And I brought these beans and 4 quarts of water and 3 tablespoons of salt all to a boil. Put a lid on it, and that's been sitting for an hour.
So the problem you're solving is the beans get mealy or mushy when cooked, and this solves that problem?
That's right. The salt penetrates the skin, softens the skin a little bit, kind of gives the whole jump start on softening those beans. They'll have a perfect texture, and they'll get nicely seasoned. I'm just going to rinse those off as well. Now we're going to start making our own chili powder. Store-bought chili powder is okay, but if we're making a really good bean chili, I want to use dried chilies and make our own blend. I'm using ancho chilies. They have a fruity, raisiny, mild flavor. So we have 2 of those. And then I also have 2 New Mexico chilies, and these have more of an earthy flavor. So we're going to toast these in a 300-degree oven for 8 minutes. They'll puff up, and they'll have a great aroma after those 8 minutes. The chilies that we toasted in the oven are out. They've been cooling for about 5 minutes. And you can see how they're puffed up and they're softer. So I'm just going to take off the stem here and remove the seeds. We're going to be grinding these in the spice grinder.
You know, you're going to have a great cup of coffee tomorrow morning if you don't clean this carefully.
Nice and spicy, right?
Wow.
Just the way I like it. Now I have 3 dried shiitake mushrooms. These have a really meaty, rich flavor. They're very high in glutamates that give us that savory flavor. And we need to work pretty hard to build that since we're not adding any meat to the chili. And I also have 4 teaspoons of oregano. So we'll grind that up. We'll add that in with our chilies. Now we're going to grind up some toasted walnuts. It's really important to toast the walnuts. And these will add sort of a meaty texture to the chili. And again, these are really high in glutamate, so they'll also add a really nice savory flavor.
I noticed that vegetarians mention the word meaty all the time.
Yeah.
You say it like in every other sentence.
We want some.
I was just pointing it out. I don't know.
So I'm going to grind the walnuts for about 30 seconds. Okay, now we're going to mix up a flavorful tomato mixture, also in the food processor. So I have 1 can of diced tomatoes that I drained off. I'm saving the juices because we'll use those later on in the recipe. 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Again,
Have a lot of glutamates.
a lot of glutamates. You guessed it. I didn't have to say it. 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Your lime.
Which have a lot of glutamates and taste meaty.
6 garlic cloves minced up. And then some jalapeno chilies. I'm just using 1. You could use 2 if you wanted the chili really spicy. And we'll give that a buzz, about 45 seconds. So if you want to give me some medium-high heat here, I have a 1/4 cup of oil. So our oil is just starting to shimmer. And I have 2 large onions that are minced fine. That makes about 3 cups. We'll add this into the oil. 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. And we'll just let this cook until the onions start to brown. That'll take 8 to 10 minutes. You can see the onions are starting to turn golden brown there. So we'll add in our mushroom, chili, oregano mixture. And I'm also adding a tablespoon of cumin. That's a classic spice for chilies. We'll just let that cook for 1 or 2 minutes. We want the spices to bloom. So that's really starting to smell great. We can smell those chilies and the oregano and the cumin. So if you want to go ahead and add the beans, those are nicely drained. And then we're also adding 7 cups of water. So that's come up to a boil. We'll put the lid on it. Now that it's boiling, that'll give it a head start on cooking in the oven. So we'll cook it for 45 minutes in the oven, then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. So I just took the beans out of the oven. Now we'll go ahead and add the tomato mixture that we made earlier. You don't want to add this too early because the acid in the tomatoes will prevent the beans from fully softening. We need to wait a little bit. Then I'm adding the reserved tomato juice from that can of tomatoes. Then the walnuts that we ground up earlier. And then my last super special secret ingredient
is pork.
No, it's bulgur. And bulgur has a really nice kind of meaty texture.
You said it again.
I did. But it bulks up the chili, has a nice nutty flavor. So we're adding 2/3 of a cup. That's the medium grind bulgur. So we'll put the lid on this, put it back in the oven for 2 hours, and then I'll let it sit after it comes out of the oven for 20 minutes. So our chili's been sitting for 20 minutes, and you can see that it thickened up quite a bit, so it's really worth taking that little extra time.
It looks like the real thing.
I know, it does, doesn't it? I'm just adding a 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro, just add some nice freshness at the end. And then you look very eager to dig in
I have my bowl.
Yeah, you're ready. So I have lots of different condiments here: sour cream, avocado, diced tomato, lime, and shredded cheese. I actually think I like a little bit of everything.
Bacon bits, did you say?
Yeah.
Did I hear that?
No bacon allowed, doesn't need it.
Well, you certainly have the visual down, the texture down.
Yeah, it looks great.
That's pretty unbelievable. I mean, I have to admit I was a little skeptical about this whole notion. But this really tastes just like a real spicy chili.
It really has great depth of flavor from those
really
chilies. Yeah, it's very good.
I have to say, this looks like and tastes like a ground meat chili. Actually, a little bit better in a way because you use your own chilies for roasting. So for a fabulous meaty vegetarian chili, we started with a quick brine of the beans. We pulled out all the stops with the glutamates. They all taste very much like beef. We finished off with walnuts and also some bulgur, which gave it a really nice texture, almost just like ground meat. So there you have it. From America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, Becky's famous, now famous, super meaty vegetarian chili.